Today is Wednesday, November 12th, and 2014, and Joe Turner and myself, Judy Meyer, are talking to Tom and Carol Chaney. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how do you spell your last name?
We spell it C-H-A-N-E-Y,
Okay.
as opposed to the vice president, which spelled it C-H-E-N-E-Y.
Oh.
And jokingly, I used to say it, I'd vote for the guy if he learned how to spell.
Oh, well, I'm glad you said to me, because anyway, I do not know very much about you, and so I'll be asking you some questions to get to know both of you. So we'll start with Tom, and let me ask you, where and when did you start your life?
I was born in Woodward, Oklahoma, which is just outside the Panhandle. Lived there till I was 14, moved up to Kansas, and kind of ran around and then ended up in St. Louis.
What brought you to St. Louis? Anything special?
A job
Okay, where?
at McDonald Aircraft.
We have talked to many people
Right.
that have come to St. Louis specifically for McDonnell Aircraft.
Yeah.
Now, were you kind of promised a job there, or did you think that would be a good possibility?
No, I interviewed. I was working in Ohio for Westinghouse, and they had another one of these cutbacks. And I was in the interviewing process and interviewed for a job and accepted one here in St. Louis
Oh, I see.
before I came here.
I
So
see.
we had a job when we came here.
Okay. What was your field?
Electrical engineering
I said, where'd you go to school, may I ask?
at Kansas State, at Manhattan, Kansas.
Are you a Jayhawk?
No,
Wildcat.
Wildcat. Got to keep them straight.
Thank you. Thank you. It is hard. Okay. So how old were you approximately then when you came to St. Louis?
23.
Okay,
24,
still young?
something. Yes.
Still young?
Yep.
And when you came to St. Louis, were you married at that time?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll get to
Which is-
Carol in a minute.
So that's another reason we came to St. Louis, but we'll let her tell that.
Well, let me ask you, Carol, where and when did you start off in life?
I was born in Lawrence, Kansas, and I met Tom at the university, Kansas State University,
Okay,
and we married after he started working for Westinghouse. We moved to Ohio, then to St. Louis.
and what did you do in college? What did you major
I was
in?
a major in home economics,
Oh, really?
but I chose to get married instead of finishing my degree and went on to business college,
Oh,
and then became a secretary for most of my life.
was the business college here in St. Louis?
No, it was in Topeka, Kansas.
Okay,
And then when I came to St. Louis, I worked, Tom at the time was working at WashU, and I worked part-time for a professor there. And then after my children were a certain age, I was employed by Pattonville School District.
oh.
So I was a secretary at Rose Acres Elementary until I
Okay.
retired.
Well, you said, though, that you came here from McDonnell Douglas. How did you get to Washington University?
Oh, well, when I was still working on my master's degree, and I had 6 hours left to complete my master's degree, and schools allow you to transfer 6 hours, typically
6?
to start your program, but I used 6 hours to go into the last 6 hours of my program. So I ended up with a degree from Washington University then through another set of things in which all that didn't work out.
But you
And
still
then
were working in
redoing.
McDonnell Douglas at the
I
time.
was working with McDonnell Douglas, yes. Like when I first came here, I was working for McDonnell Douglas and started taking classes at WashU. And after one semester of courses there, I was invited to join the computer research laboratory
Was
at
it-
university.
Was it
So I did.
in the beginning stages there?
Yeah,
Very much so.
yes. In fact, the computer we were using, in some sense, is the first personal computer that was
First
ever developed.
personal computer.
Right.
How big was it?
How big was it?
Yeah. Is it
It
little
was-
like the,
Yes, right. It was one rack of equipment, A by A, about 6 feet high, and then it had 4 what they call consoles, which are about 24 by 22 inches and about 2 feet deep,
and that was a personal
and had a
computer?
wad of computer cabling, hooked everything together. It was about that big around. It was divided into lower pieces so you could lift it up and move it about.
And you understood how to work it?
Oh, yeah. Yes, that was our, well, and it was a first personal computer in the sense that an individual used the machine by themselves. It was theirs. There was no pressure to share your computer with anybody else. There was enough computers for everybody to have their own to go around.
What about home? Did you have a computer at your own home?
Well, yes. These computers were used for about 10 years, and then, as you said, things began to shrink down. But so that left some of these computers around that were not being used by anybody. They just kind of sat in the hall. And my son at the time was 6 years old. So I brought one of the computers home, and he had one of these computers in his bedroom.
Wow.
Kept the room warm, probably.
Yes, which was very nice in the wintertime. He had the toastiest room in the house. Furthermore, he got in trouble.
Your son got in trouble?
Yes, in school. And the punishment was he had to write, "I will not do whatever it is he did," 100 times. So he had this computer, you see, and nobody knew about computers then. So he worked out the program and had the printer print out, "I will not do this," 100 times.
What a little
And I
bugger.
was so sure that the teacher was going to be all over him that I let him get away with it. And the teacher was so enthralled with it all that he did get away with it.
Wow. He was ahead of his time.
Yes,
Well, let me ask you, how many children do you have?
2,
And you have a son and
a daughter.
a daughter.
Daughter is
And
4 years younger than son.
do they live in the Bridgeton area?
They did for a while. They lived, in fact, right across the street.
Really?
Yes.
That was the daughter.
Yeah.
And then her and her family moved to Indiana.
Oh,
But the son still lives at Bridgeton.
Yeah.
So, in fact, he's on a lot of Bridgeton Commission.
Oh,
He's
really?
active in Bridgeton, too.
In fact, having started life in Bridgeton and been here his entire time, he observed that in 2 years he can be a candidate for one of these interviews.
yes. Yes, that'll be very nice. We will have to talk to him.
Yes.
Now, Carol, you said that you worked for Washington University?
Yes, I worked for a professor that was doing documentation for some computer work, and
Yes.
back then it was all typewriter, so many carbon copies, etc. No computer for me, so
But the professor she worked for is the one that invented this personal computer.
Really?
Yes.
So I did that. It was a grant type that I worked for. And then I was pregnant at the time, I'm sure, with Scott, and so then I stayed home and didn't work until my daughter Suzanne was in 3rd grade.
What school did they go
They
to?
went to Carrollton and Pullman and the high school.
What was school life for them? Do you remember any particular highlights?
Other than getting in trouble and
No, they loved Carrollton School, and they were able to walk to school. And I think their biggest complaint about walking to Carrollton was that they could not ride a bus. But they did start riding the bus when they were in middle school.
Well, so the house we are sitting in right now was not your house
Correct.
then?
Our house we lived in Carrollton. We lived on Brumley.
Brumley.
So they were just a block and a half through to Carrollton School. My daughter was very active with Mr. Gallagher's field days, dance programs, gymnastics field days. Our son was, I think he was in Songbirds for a while, Mrs. Freeborn's
Oh.
Songbirds. And they went to Carrollton and then, of course, then to Pullman
Mm-hmm.
and graduated from the high school.
What years did they graduate?
Our son graduated in '84 and our daughter in '88.
Okay. And what about in high school? Were they in any organizations or extracurricular?
They certainly weren't as active as, say, our grandson was in high school, but I think maybe there were not as many opportunities at the time. So they were in like key clubs and things like that, but they didn't do sports.
And you said you were a secretary for Rose Acres?
Yes, I was.
And how did you get that particular job?
Well, I signed up to be a substitute through the school district and ended up substituting a lot at Carrollton School.
At Carrollton?
For Mrs. Williams, who was the secretary at the time, and when she would be out, I would fill in for her. And then I substituted at Rose Acres Elementary for a secretary that had taken another position. And Mr. Cashon, who was a Bridgeton resident for many years, who has since passed away, was the principal, and he hired me
Oh,
as the secretary, and I was there until 2001 when I retired.
I see. I see. Did you compare notes about Rose Acres School and Carrollton School?
Oh, of course, there was always a lot of competitiveness between the schools. In fact, all the Pattonville elementary schools were competitive.
I can imagine.
And Mr. Cashion's wife was our children's kindergarten teacher.
I thought the name sounded familiar.
Right.
Yes, that's right. My two children are about several years younger than yours are, then, sounds like. So while they were going to high school, they both graduated from Pattonville, you said?
Correct. Mhm.
Did they have outside jobs that they did
Oh, yes. Scott worked at the local McDonald's.
on Natural
Camper
Bridge?
was on Natural Bridge. Suzanne worked at the ice cream store that was at Bonfires and Natural Bridge, and right now it's still a little strip mall, but I
Is
don't
that a
know what
Velvet
was in
Freeze
there.
store?
But it's an ice cream store.
Was that Velvet Freeze?
No, it was
Something
called
else.
something else, but I don't recall the name.
Did Joe Gerst work in that store?
I don't remember.
He was a Carrollton resident.
She also worked at the Chinese restaurant that was in Carrollton Shopping Center. She also worked at Sofro. Scott basically did the restaurants. He did Calico's over on Olive for a while. They both worked quite a bit. And he went to Mizzou, and she went to KU.
I see.
So,
I see. And what does your son Scott do now?
he works for a company called Blendex Corporation. He's a computer engineer.
Okay.
It's a startup company.
And does he have children?
Yes, he has one son who's a freshman at Truman,
Oh, really?
who just graduated from Pattonville.
Oh, wow.
Talking about active, he kept us all hopping because he was very active. in
Why,
school.
what was he involved with?
Cross country, the music, he was in the jazz ensemble, speech debate.
Don't you wonder how they have time to
Exactly,
fit it all in?
that's right.
And your daughter, does she have children?
She has three. She
Oh.
has a 13-year-old daughter who's in 8th grade, and two 8-year-olds, twins, that are adopted from Guatemala, and they are in 3rd grade.
And you say they're the ones in Indiana.
Correct.
I see. Well, let's talk a little bit about when they were growing up. Did they spend any time going over to Northwest Plaza?
Yes.
You
Well-
mean the video arcade game room? Northwest
Well,
Plaza? Is
tell
that
us
what you mean?
about Northwest Plaza as you remember it, because right now, Northwest Plaza is in a big transition.
Yeah.
Correct.
In fact, I'm not sure really what's there right now. Presently, in November of 2014, what actually is going on in Northwest Plaza, I'm not even sure.
Well, they're building a Menards.
Which is
Is
a,
home improvement store. And I understand
It's the
Rothman.
Lowe's or Home Depot on
similar.
steroids, apparently.
Okay.
And then there is Rothman Furniture that's gone in there, and their headquarters.
Oh, wow.
And then there are other small shops, which I don't know that that's been announced as yet. So
But what was Northwest Plaza like when your children were teenagers?
well, there were several phases of Northwest Plaza. First there was the outdoor court, and then there was the indoor mall situation. And when we were growing up, or my children were growing up, it was more outdoor. You could walk like streets through the mall. But it was Famous Bar, which was one end, and Sears on another, and Penny's, and many shops and restaurants. I remember a Dick Clark restaurant. It
What?
was Dick Clark's
A Dick Clark.
was a
You know who
rocket.
Dick Clark is?
Yes, bandstand.
Yes.
Right. And then, of course, there was the indoor tilt. Is that what they call the amusement area, the video games?
I don't know if anyone has ever talked to us about that on any of our interviews.
It was downstairs, inside,
Oh.
underground, I guess. They had lots of window displays, Christmas time decorations. I can remember when our son was in Scouts, they had Pinewood Derby races over there,
Oh.
You know, the district meet was held there.
right?
Well, where did they hold the Pinewood Derby race? Where did they set it up?
They had a court, like a fountain area, court area.
Yeah. It was essentially outside Sears.
So
Okay.
it was in the shopping center?
Yeah, in
Now,
the
that was a
shopping center.
small version of the one that they used to do over on Highway 40, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anybody walking by could kind of see it
Yeah,
and
right.
watch.
Yep.
Except it was enclosed at that time, so, it was among the shoppers,
Yeah.
yes. I remember in 1966 when Northwest was being built, only Famous Bar was built at the time. And we were living in our first apartment in Bridgeton, in the West Haven area of where the apartments were. And the summer was so warm, and I was pregnant at the time, they would turn off our electricity
What?
in the area, in certain parts of the city, just to conserve energy. So during that heat of the day, I would go to Famous Bar and cool down, and then I would come home.
I see. Well,
And that was when we had our first tornado.
what? What tornado was that?
Well, there was a tornado in
1967.
'67, yeah.
How
In
bad
Chaney.
was that?
It was pretty bad. It's
Which month was it?
January.
January or February.
January in the winter time.
Yes.
Wow.
It was 77 degrees that day,
Oh.
Yeah.
and then the temperature dropped and
Yep.
it started snowing.
Oh. My
Raining.
God.
So the buildings that had broken pipes froze that night.
Wow.
But we lost our roof
Oh my gosh.
on that tornado.
So we were in one of the four apartment buildings up there, and we were downstairs. And I heard this funny noise and went out to the front door, and I heard the train.
Oh my.
So I went and got Carol and then
Scott.
Scott, who was about 6, 7 months old, and we went to the basement.
Uh-huh.
And during the course of the tornado going by, we had a brick come through, the little windows,
Oh my.
skylight windows that are on the side.
Wow.
And after the whole thing was over, we went back upstairs, and you could go up to the second floor and look straight up and just see the sky.
Oh my gosh.
No,
Wow.
no trusses, no anything. But the walls were fine. Pictures are still hanging on the walls. And there was a cat
A
sitting
cat.
on the coffee table,
Someone
making
else's
the
cat.
strangest meow. Somebody else's cat.
A
It was
real
the strangest
cat.
meow that I'd ever heard.
He was probably petrified.
He was he was messed up.
And water was running down in the walls and coming out the electrical sockets. I can
Yeah,
remember
right.
that.
So you didn't sleep?
We
There that night.
were put into we went to a friend's house for the night, and then we were put into another apartment for a few months, and then we bought our home in Carrollton.
Oh,
How
okay.
widespread was the damage from that tornado?
It skipped from us to St. Anne,
Uh-huh.
but it started over by Maryland Heights, by Glen Park area, that area, or maybe even west of that, and then it skipped on its way to us.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened on that recent Good Friday tornado, didn't it?
Mhm.
The Maryland Heights area got hit, and the old St. Charles Road area got hit, and then it kind of skipped over, what,
Yep.
on the other side of the highway?
Yep.
Have you, when did you move into your present house?
This house we moved in 1995.
It's a beautiful house. Are you the first resident?
Nope, second.
Oh, really?
They were here 4 years,
Oh,
and then we didn't really realize this subdivision was back in this little area until we started looking for a home.
I see. So you
In
were,
fact, the people that we bought this house from lived about 2 blocks from us in Carrollton,
Oh, really?
and had left Carrollton earlier.
And then they moved again?
They were transferred.
Yeah.
Oh, I
transferred to
see.
Kansas City, I think.
I
Out of
see.
town anyway.
Uh-huh. So how old is this area?
About 20 years old, I think. I think it was 1988.
Oh, okay. It's a beautiful area.
Yes.
So you've seen a lot of changes then in Bridgeton.
Oh my, yes.
And we're in a change even as we speak with the community center.
And that's going to be a great thing.
What do you think it's going to be like? How do you think it'll be a benefit to our community?
Well, I think it will be a benefit to all ages. I think, particularly the seniors who are there now will have a little bit more room. And I think the pool area will be, young family oriented. Plus, I think there'll be a lot more cardiovascular and weight room equipment. And
That's what
meeting
people are
spots.
looking for now,
Right.
I think. Uh-huh.
That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Oh, really?
So,
Do you come up to the community center to
quite a
take?
bit.
Do you?
Mhm. So,
Well, I'm looking for a change in the pool myself because I'm not really a swimmer, but
I like the outside pool when we have the walking,
oh, yes. Yes.
lazy river walking program in the summertime.
Yes, I just was able to do that this summer and I enjoyed it so much. You want to tell everybody what that's like?
Well, it's open. The pool is open from 9:30 until 11:45 before the pool opens for the residents for the rest of the day. And for a minimum fee, you can walk the lazy river. The current is reversed for that particular morning, and it's a workout.
And it's very social,
It's
isn't
very
it?
social. Men and women both use it. Get you outside.
Right, and you don't have to be a swimmer.
That's right. You don't have to be a swimmer, and if it's hot, you're in the water.
Will the new community center have that, do you think?
I think it's going to have something similar inside. There's also going to be a walking track.
Wonderful.
Above that area.
Wonderful.
So that'll be great.
Yes, yes. Do you use the community center, Tom?
Not nearly as much as Carol does.
Mm-hmm.
but
Do
I use
you,
some.
are you both retired people?
Mostly.
Mostly, yes.
I am.
She,
He likes to dabble
yes.
in business. He
Do
consults.
you take advantage of any of their planned trips or outings they do?
At Bridgeton?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. We are active in our church at Arlington United Methodist also, and we do a lot of things there.
I see.
So, and that's very close by. That's on McKelvey.
Right, yes. What changes have been through your church? Do you know of any?
Well, we've been through a couple fires.
Oh, really? Fire?
And several building programs. Yes, there were some fires. I can't tell you what year they were, but
Very devastating fires?
no, they were able to rebuild.
Okay.
So,
Uh-huh.
a lot of smoke damage and that type of things.
That was used as a polling place for a long time.
It still is.
It still is.
Yep.
And they had a preschool there.
They had a preschool. Our children went to that preschool because it was one of the first in the area. And now it is a daycare.
Oh, really?
It's an all-day daycare for working parents.
I see. So it's really serving the community
Right, and we
in a
have a
lot of ways.
gymnasium that
A gymnasium.
that is pretty popular with basketball teams and walkers. They have a walking program there also.
Oh, nice. Sounds
and
very
the
nice.
Community Helping Ministries.
Well, would you like to talk to us about that and kind of define what that is? Community Helping Ministries.
Right.
Exactly what is that?
It is a program that is a food pantry and also assistance to Pattonville School District families. If they are low income and they need assistance with their utilities and with their housing or just food.
Do they come to the church
They
and
do come to the Community Helping Ministries office, which is located at the church.
I see.
And they're open just in the mornings, or I think from 10 to 2, Monday through Friday.
Is it just your church that's involved in it?
No, we house it at Arlington, but all the neighboring churches support it,
That's wonderful.
And there's 7 churches that are involved.
something like that.
That's wonderful. And they're all Bridgeton churches.
Yes.
That's
yes.
wonderful.
And they're getting ready for their large Christmas donation drive now for families. They're
So
having
you have a food pantry then? Is it?
Yes.
Where
Do
is
you
your
serve hot meals like the community center does?
No,
You're not in
no, it's,
where
so
is
it
your
doesn't-
food pantry or the pantry they're involved with?
at Arlington.
Oh, okay.
It's in the Community Helping Ministries office.
Is that a separate than what the Boy Scout drive? We're coming up pretty soon. The Boy Scouts will be picking up their bags.
right.
Yes, it's separate. They have several
Right.
drives throughout the year at the grocery stores. I
They
think
usually
just have
get some stuff from the Boy Scout drive though. They're one of
from the food.
the groups that share in what's collected.
And you say you volunteer through that?
I don't personally go there to volunteer, but I contribute a lot. That food and that type of things. So
Well, they need everybody's help, don't they?
that's right.
Yeah.
I see. What other changes have you seen besides Northwest Plaza and, like I said, the new community center is in the process? Can you think of other changes that you've seen and witnessed in the Bridgeton area?
Well, I guess roads is one.
In what particular ones?
When we first moved here and lived in the West Haven apartments, you would drive down Lindbergh and make a left-hand turn into West Haven.
And now you can't do that?
No, they've got the barricades in the middle of the road, divided road, and
But you have a turnaround light though.
yeah, and there's a turnaround at that intersection. But when I first came here, I would come up from the south, sat there, it was stick shift at the time. I would sit there with my foot on the clutch with one eye in the rear view mirror and the other eye looking oncoming traffic. And more than once I would accelerate just from there because the car behind me was coming up quickly.
Not a pleasant situation.
Yeah.
And I think Natural Bridge has all changed because of the airport, and of course Carrollton is gone.
Yes. How long did you live in Carrollton?
28 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we started in West Haven, then went to Carrollton, and now we're still in Bridgeton.
Well, we're happy that you stayed in Bridgeton. But was it hard to leave the Carrollton area? Did
Oh,
you
yes.
have to leave the Carrollton?
We did not have to. We did not sell to the airport. The people that bought our house sold to the airport. We just wanted a bigger home.
Oh,
So we moved here. I would say that Carrollton, it's my understanding, was one of the first self-contained subdivisions in Missouri.
why was it self-contained? What made it have that distinction?
Well, we had churches, we had a post office, we had grocery stores, and they were all within walking distance.
And the swimming
So,
pool?
service stations, shopping.
What was there in the Carrollton Shopping Center that you remember?
Oh, my favorite spot, we just talked about this today, was the Closet.
The closet? What is a closet?
Was a dress store for women. And Betty Dean owned the Closet, and
I
she
see.
gave full service to the ladies.
What do you mean? She helped
She
them?
altered your clothes.
Wow.
She held your clothes. If you couldn't afford a dress this week, she would hold it for you, and you'd come back the next week.
Oh,
So, and they were stylish. It was upscale.
right. Do we have anything like that now
We
here in
don't have anything
Bridgeton?
in our area that's like that.
A specialty
A
shop.
specialty shop.
Yes.
Yes. And if she saw something that came in and she thought it was one of her customers, she was your personal shopper.
Really?
She would call you.
Oh, nice. You know, I do remember that store. I bought several nice things from my mother-in-law there because I knew that was the kind of style my mother-in-law would like.
And of course, Telsher Hardware. We all know
They were
Telsher
still
Hardware.
there.
What'd you say?
They were already there. Telsher Hardware's well established.
And
They were a smaller space. Well,
yeah, Telsher Hardware went through several expansions.
yeah, they absorbed a dime store.
A dime store.
Ben Franklin.
Yeah, Ben Franklin
Ben
dime
Franklin
store
was
at one
there.
point.
That's interesting.
They had penny candy.
Oh,
For a penny.
That's right.
Yes.
It wasn't $1.
Right.
What about, do you remember at Halloween having the big windows painted with Halloween scenes?
Mhm.
That used to be very popular. I grew up in Normandy, and at Northland Shopping Center, that was always a big thing. I don't know if people these days do that anywhere, but growing up, I know it was always fun. I guess what, the high school kids did that, do you think?
They could be.
Yeah, that's what I vaguely remember is the high school kids that would do the artwork.
And not just a little thing, but actually take the whole window.
And they did it
Yeah.
at Christmas time too.
Really, at Christmas? No, I'm not remembering that.
Right. There was the bowling alley that's there now that was there when my kids were growing up.
Did your kids ever go
Oh,
bowling?
yes, all the time. That was the Saturday night outing.
Really? Uh-huh. What about the grocery stores?
Many different grocery stores. In fact, I think I remember you being at that grocery store.
Well, the
It
first
was-
of the IGA was the only store there, only grocery store there. They didn't have the other anchor at the other end,
Where was the IGA?
next to the bowling alley.
Okay, all right. So what
Yeah.
was at the other end where it's now the temple, the
Yeah, right.
Hindu temple, the Indian temple? What was in that building then?
It wasn't there.
Okay, I understand now.
The-
Okay,
The shopping center extended.
I
there.
see. I see what
And there
you're
was a
saying.
grocery store at one of the chains. What was it?
Bettendorf's.
Right, JB actually.
Right, JB and then Bettendorf's.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, in fact, when Schnucks bought it, I got excited because I was working at the Schnucks at Northwest Plaza, which wasn't far for
Right.
me from
Yeah.
home, but JB was even closer.
Right.
And I asked for a transfer, and I worked
You were there
at,
and you got it.
yes. And it was good. It was a good place.
And there was a local pharmacy there too, corner
Oh, yeah.
drugstore.
Yes.
In fact, I think they moved closer to the grocery store, but they were in the main part of the strip mall earlier,
Oh,
and then they moved around the corner. So there were a couple of nursery schools and daycares in that area too, kindercare, and I can't recall the other ones.
That's on the other side of Natural Bridge.
Yes,
There's one of those still.
and then one behind where Telsher's was, and I think it's still there,
really?
but I don't know the name of it.
Okay. What about across the street now, where that Gene Love TV, has that gone through many changes that you recall?
Gene Love has been there for a long time, and it has not changed.
Well, Gene Love was originally in Carrollton Shopping Center.
He was. Yes.
Yeah.
And they moved across the street.
But
the
the strip
TV
mall
business
there
has
is-
really changed, you know, you never hear of people having television sets repaired anymore.
That's right. Yeah. But
It's-
the eyes, you just buy a new one.
Yeah,
There was a beauty shop there, a couple of beauty shops, and they have gone.
Yeah, who was the lady that we interviewed?
We and Isla, I forgot her
What was the name of the shop?
last name, something Coiffure, Coiffures?
Yeah. Coiffure Creations it was in Carrollton.
Oh,
Lila something.
Okay, that was before my time, I think.
Okay.
Right. What did you think when you heard that they were going to develop the Earth City area? What did you think about that?
All I thought about
The
was it was a
bottoms?
floodplain.
At once upon a time, there wasn't anything down there, was there? Except maybe what the
right.
farm people still there, possibly.
Yeah, I think it was just farmland.
Right.
Most of the roads that you now travel down there didn't even exist then.
No McDonald's down there.
That's right. Well, yeah, that entire interchange didn't exist. So
But
I-
there was the Rock Road that went to St. Charles around over the old bridge,
yeah,
which was a very scary drive.
Why was it scary?
It was very narrow. The cars were bigger.
Yes, that's true.
and it had more or less a right angle turn in the middle of the bridge.
Oh, no.
I remember going over there one time with an Oldsmobile, and my son said, "Mom, you just hit the bridge."
Oh,
And I said, "I did?" He says, "Yeah, the mirrors went back."
oh no. Oh, my.
It
But
was
did you
sterile.
go to St. Charles very often?
We did when we had to buy scout equipment or
Really?
uniforms.
Yeah, Throws is kind of the source.
Thor's?
Throws.
Throws.
Oh, throws. Okay. What about your daughter? Was she in Scouts?
She was in Girl Scouts. Yes.
Did she have to go there for the Girl
I
Scout stuff
don't
too?
recall where we ever bought her uniforms, but
Yeah.
I don't know that they had Girl Scout uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rock Road Bridge is no longer there, but have you visited the Riverfront Trail Park?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice, and
And
they
they've
just,
opened up another section recently.
very recent.
Right.
Well, what is that trail like? Maybe some other people might be interested in visiting the trail.
It's very shady. It's wooded, and there are animals.
Really?
And some days you'll see a skunk
Oh,
across. I've seen deer,
oh, really?
And it's paved, right?
and it's paved. It's a paved trail. Yes.
So you don't have to wade through the mud.
Yeah, that's good. That's
It's
good.
right along the river.
Right
It's
alongside the
very, very
river.
And a lot of evidence of gnawing animals on some of the
Exactly.
Yes.
beavers.
And a beaver that attacked a tree.
So, do you get down there very often?
No, no. I did use this past summer. I've walked with the Bridgeton Walking Group.
What was that? A Bridgeton
Bridgeton
walking
has
group?
a walking group that's offered through the community center,
Really?
and we meet at 8 o'clock in the morning.
How
on Monday,
often?
Wednesday. I'm sorry.
How often?
Monday, Wednesday
Oh,
mornings.
uh-huh.
We're not meeting this winter. And if we want to walk, we'll just do inside walking this winter. But we've done BMAC, we've done the Riverwood Trails,
What was the purpose of this walking? Social or?
exercise. 2 miles.
Okay,
And then you start your day walking and you're good to go.
yes, yes. I enjoy walking in the morning as well. Did you take the trail around the community center?
We did not with that group. We did BMAC or Riverwood Trails.
Uh-huh.
But I have walked the community center path. That's very pretty also. And right now it's a very good view of the building of the community center.
If you want to be nosy, now's a good time to use that trail.
Just, you have to have your hard hat on.
Not really. There's a fence around
If you
it.
come in through the backside.
Right.
Yes, you do.
How long do you think it'll take for them to build the new community center?
It's
You don't
scheduled-
believe the official word?
Right,
It'll be 1 year.
1 year. So
Yes.
that'll put us into what? Next?
next
At
December.
the end of 15.
Oh, okay, at the end of next year.
Right.
I see.
You know, they've just been working for what, maybe a month.
Right.
Yeah, but
There's a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
I think
Haven't
they're
gotten close enough to see that.
they're
yeah, if you take the trail around the park there.
I think their goal is to have the foundation poured before winter really sets in, but looking out today, it may not be pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. At Bridgeton Gentry Park through the summer, they have some wonderful concerts. Have you gone to any of the outdoor concerts?
Most of them,
Really?
yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Can you tell us about why you like to go there?
It's a
Fellow,
good-
friendship, a group of us go.
Oh, how nice.
There are a lot of groups sitting around the area.
And you'll always see somebody else that you know
Exactly.
See somebody you know.
in the Kiwanis.
Yeah.
So it's a social
It's
time.
a social
Yeah.
time. It's good music. It's fun to be outside.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful park.
We're very, very fortunate.
Bridgeton has a lot of nice parks.
Well, I live next to one.
I know you do. It's nice. We have one in Carrollton also, and it's still there.
Well, that's
Can
the,
people go
the
there?
dog park now, isn't it?
O'Connor, yes, uh-huh.
People can still go to the
there's,
park
There's ball diamonds there and shelter houses.
because some
Isn't
of
there
the
dog frisbee.
I haven't played that, but I know there is
I
that.
think that Joe Campbell said that.
some of the streets are blocked off in Carrollton, aren't
Yes,
they?
they are, but there is one that's open to go to the park. And I think you take the main Bonfires,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Woodford Way up to Hemet.
Uh-huh.
And Hemet on the left takes you down to the park. So they have to keep that open, I think.
And did your kids go to O'Connor Park while growing up?
Yes.
Because it sounds like you were very close to it.
They walked. They played a lot in the woods down there. My daughter always had a case of poison ivy
Oh,
every summer.
Well,
They played a lot at school also in the playground. And
What's
there's a
happened
track.
down there recently is they've removed all of the street signs.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
Did you live in Carrollton?
No, but we'd had a lot of friends. My wife's family had a lot of friends in Carrollton. We went to St. Lawrence. We were married in St. Lawrence. If you don't know where you are, without the signs up, you're pretty lost.
Yes.
Lost.
But it's nice and quiet.
Yes, it is that.
Well,
Bridgeton
except
has a
when the
nice
rain goes
golf
over
cart course
occasionally.
too.
the golf course, Berry Hill,
Right.
and you play golf?
I play in the ladies' league.
How nice. How nice. My husband actually plays in the men's league on Monday morning since he's been retired. And do you go there as a couple and play?
No.
Not a golfer there.
Is it a reasonable price for the residents?
Of course it is.
That's great. I'm surprised the airport expansion did not affect the golf course.
No, it did not. It seems to be intact.
Yeah, that's pretty isolated.
The houses around it, yes, but not the golf course.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Well, I was just trying to ask you earlier about our city. We really didn't talk about our city as much as I was thinking maybe you had some additional thoughts. I know for a lot of people that lived here, they thought it might be a ridiculous situation to put commercial, businesses in our city. Did you feel any back and forth about that?
Well, I guess I believe in Mother Nature.
Yeah, 1993.
So
Flood.
something's going to happen down there, I suspect. I don't know when.
So you still feel like something detrimental might happen in that area?
Yes.
As far as like flooding?
Well, that's the obvious one, yeah. But there will be a flood from some kind somehow.
And you
And
think,
even if the situation is stable right now, they continuously add more levees to the Missouri River.
Yeah.
So as you add more levees,
Yeah,
that
it runs
moves
down.
the
runs
high point
downstream.
of the flood around, up and down the river.
so you think at some point, at some time in the future, there may be flooding in that
Yep.
area?
Yep, there are enough hedges in that, yes.
That's according to Chaney.
No, I appreciate his, theory on
Has
that.
anybody told you that I understand that there are a fair number of sand boils?
What's that?
That's apparently underground paths that get you behind the levee and then hits a pocket of sand and then comes up behind the levee. And it's kind of boiling it's very much like
The water, you mean?
Yeah. Well, it's water and sand, mostly sand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just wasn't familiar with that term.
Yeah,
It's like a slurry, I guess.
sorry?
It's like a slurry.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with these terms.
Not either.
yeah.
Well, it's sort of liquid and it's sort of solid. but
And
somewhere
what's
in
going to
between.
happen with this because of this situation?
Oh, well, once the sand gets moved out of the way, then you have a path
I see.
of the river
I
to
see.
the backside of the levee. And if it's a floodplain, or flooding, then the water just fills up on the other side of the levee and doesn't have to breach the levee directly. It kind of,
What about on the St. Charles side? Do you think they might be in jeopardy of any flooding?
I don't know.
They have that riverfront park there,
Yeah.
but that's closed during
It's
high water.
flooded a lot.
Yeah, that,
What'd you say?
That park is flooded a lot.
So it already has been
Right.
Oh,
flooded.
yeah,
yes, but as you leave the river on the St. Charles side, you climb very rapidly.
yeah. Yeah, Bridgeton isn't
So,
like that.
so yeah, you go out into Earth City.
It's pretty flat.
Once you get a path there, you can just go.
Yes, it's pretty flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember watching Rams Park being built.
That's close to you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
When was that? That's been 10 years.
Maybe or even slightly longer, but I remember them building that.
Lots of hotels there now.
and hotels right in the area
It
that
was
I
pretty well
live.
developed by then.
Yes. But we talked to one man that did live down there in the bottoms, and he told us, of course, that that area would be flooded many times. and that his family finally got tired of it and moved out and moved up into Bridgeton, into a little higher ground.
Yeah.
So that area was traditionally flooded numerous times. So do you think the businesses down there are foolish for being there, or do you think that
I think they're pushing their luck.
I see. We are going to interview Elizabeth Gentry Syed next week. And her ancestors were from Chesterfield. You know what happens in Chesterfield area. And when your city area was being built, she wrote a big letter to the newspaper, kind of talking, or was it Chesterfield, maybe Valley being, probably it was the Chesterfield Valley being established, that she wrote a big article in the paper warning them of the past.
Yeah.
And probably the same thing in this area. Was there any,
Creve Court Park, there's a little airport there.
is
Yeah.
it still in existence, still being
The
used?
airport? Yeah,
Yeah, the airport's there.
yeah, it's Creve Court Airport, matter of fact.
Uh-huh.
But if you go in there and into the hangars, the pilots there will point at the wall about 8 feet up off the ground, and that's where the water level reached. Just below Creve Court Park, when there was the floods south of there.
It's something to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure is.
Well, it's cheap real estate, and it's not a problem most of the time, and they're willing
right.
to take the.
So you take your
gamble.
chances,
Yeah.
if you save $1,000
Yeah.
a month for 20 years,
Mhm.
and it costs you $50,000 to rebuild after the flood, then you win.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us now about your memories of Bridgeton? About maybe any events that you took part in or remember?
We love the 4th of July parade.
Why is that?
And
Why?
the, well, it's just a community, small town community parade. People turn out from all over to come to the parade. They also have the fireworks displays.
I didn't ask you earlier, have you been involved in any of the Bridgeton commissions? Like Joe and I are on Historical Commission?
Tom is.
I'll serve on one commission,
Currently?
yeah.
Which one is it?
That's embarrassing, you see, because I can never remember the name of it.
Well, let's just say you're serving on a
Authority.
commission.
Yeah, it's kind of a middle group that approves companies coming into Bridgeton in exchange for getting favorable sales tax rates.
Okay.
And according to state law, you have to have a group, and that group has to review.
Oh,
And we're not given any charters or instructions as to what we're reviewing for, but we have to approve it or deny. So it's an interesting committee to be on.
yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
So have you attended the volunteer dinner that Joe and I have attended in the fall?
Yes.
Yes, we just went to one in October.
Yeah.
That's a very nice time, isn't it?
is.
It's very nice.
And they provide that every year with a different speaker.
Yes.
And I've done that for 32 years,
35.
35 years.
And you've attended that many?
Oh, no.
No.
Bridgeton has a lot to offer. It's just a nice community to live in.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, and I hope you're here much, much longer. Thank you for letting us come today and talk with you.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.